Hello and welcome back to Last Cast. We've done a few videos where we've been sort of luring for perch and had success on the river and a little less success on the canal. We've decided to come to still water today, and we're going to go old school and use tworms, as we call them up north, or worms to you people that live down south. But we've got one rod set up with these sort of old school perch bobbers. Those of you that are sort of in your 20s like me probably remember using these when you were a kid, yeah, old school cork and plastic. It's actually one like that we've got on at the moment. Got that set up on a 13-foot float rod. I'll get shut of those now. Got three setups that we're going to be using today. One is, and it's a bit unorthodox, is this is it's actually a Savage Gear MPP soft lure rod. The reason I like that is that it's a short rod. It's only 8'3", so because we're under the trees it's easy to cast, but with it being a soft lure rod, it's actually got quite a strong backbone to it, and it's pretty good if you get a decent sized perch on, or you get a chub. I mean, I use this for chubbing on the rivers. Got it set up with just a straightforward standard pre-weighted quill type float, painted pre-weighted. I think it's 2.5 grams. Then got down to the hook length. I've just got a couple of micro shots on the hook to get that down. Hook wise on there we've got a size 18 with about a 2.5 pound leader on there. Reel on there is just a little Daiwa, and then I think it's about 6 pound main line. So that's a bit of an unorthodox setup, but it's one that I like to use, so get shut of that. We've also set up a pole rig because we're going to be fishing in quite close. Again, very light bottom on there and about a size 18 hook. Again, we're looking probably about a couple of pound on that. Standard little float as well, already plumbed up to depth. We're fishing in about probably 6 or 7 foot of water. Bait wise we're going to be at worms and maggots. Get rid of that one. We've then got 13-foot Mava float rod with a little Shimano 4000 on there. That's the one, again, same hook length, same size hook, a slightly bigger hook on there actually. And then we've got it set up with a couple of weights and a little perch bobber float there. More of a modern one with the clear green, so it doesn't stand out as much. And then there's the old style cork ones as well. So we're going to use sort of 3 different techniques there. We're going to feed up a swim under the trees to our right here, and then we're going to just have a swim straight out in front of us, which is, we're only going to be fishing probably 13-14 foot out in front, and it's probably a similar depth over there, similar depths as far as the water goes. Bait wise we've got our big bag of tworms, just dendrobenums on there. What I tend to prefer to do is we're not talking specimen size perch in here, although there are some perch topping a pound, but realistically it's going to be a sort of more standard size perch that we're going to be catching. So we're going to be literally take a worm, nip the tail off it. I like to hook it through the bit that I've nipped off so that you've got the wiggle on the other end. Bobs does it the other way around, where he'll nip the tail off and hook it into the other end. It's personal preference. And then other bait that we're going to be using is just the bog standard red maggots. Chucked a few on the floor there. Bog standard red maggots. We're going to be feeding each of these swims periodically with chopped worm and red maggot, and see if we can't get a few fish in the net, and then see how we go and talk you through as we go on through the day. So that's our setups. We'll get cracking, and I'll catch up with you soon. Right, we're going to start off with the pole rig. I'm going to fish it in front of me first off, see if we get any joy there. If not, then to the side. I'm going to start this one with just a worm, single worm, nip it in half, save the other half so you're getting twice as much out, but don't put it back in your worm bag, put it in a separate bag, because the problem with that is if you've got like a kilo of worms and you nip one off and chuck it back in, it's just going to die and rot, and then next thing you know they're all dead. Personally, I like to then put the hook through the end I've just nipped off. As I say, Bob's does it the other way around. I just think that that's the way to do it, but say it's entirely up to your personal preference, except you don't want to stay on there. Right, let's get it out into this one. I'm not a big pole fisherman, so any of you pole aficionados will probably be telling me I'm doing it wrong, but let's see how we go. So we're in. Let's let it settle. I've probably got a little bit too much line between my pole and the float, but let's see if we can catch something. And we're in. There, that wasn't bad. Let's get it up. Get the net, and it's a reasonable perch. So there we go. I'm just going to shorten the length between there. Not a bad little perch that to start the day. The disgorger. Come here. It's going into the bony plates inside, so it's a little bit harder to get out, but there we go. Not a monster, but a start to the day. Let's pop it in the net. Right, just shortening that down because we've just a little bit too much line between the end. Just standard non-slip hoop in there. Always take your line home with you. Stick that in my bag. Make sure the hoop's tight. There we go, and then reattach to the pole. Right, let's go back out. Let's hope that's a sign of things to come. I'm not using a roller because I'm only shipping out a few sections. Obviously, you professional pole guys will know that. Nice thing using a pole for perch is that perch like a bit of movement, so periodically it's worth just lifting it 6-12 inch and letting it drop back down again. And as it flutters back down, it's amazing how many times you'll get a little take on there. Or not. And we're in. Oh, lost him. Again, that was literally, did what I said, little lift, drop back down, took it as it was going back down. Just imparts that bit of movement. Right, I'm gonna move over into the next bit. And we've got a little one, I think. A little bit bigger, but what we got, perch, I think it is. Again, not a monster, but it's a fish. Nice little perch. Good fat little perch, actually. Let me disgorge it. There we go. Nice little perch, been gorging on our maggots. Oh, I need to maybe strike a little bit earlier than I am doing because they're absolutely wolfing them down. Right, I'm going to ship it out again into that corner, see if we can get another one. So we're not getting any monsters, but we're catching fish, that's the main thing. I've got an extra bit of line here, so I'm just swinging it to get it as close up to those trees as I can. And we've got another one. Looks like a perch, I think. Let's see. Yeah, another perch. On tworm. It's a bit daft putting these tidgy perch in this net, but you never know what's coming out next. Certainly hungry. Little perch. In he goes. Right, we're just having a change of tactics. We were getting a few perch and bits and pieces in the corner here, and it turned out that we were probably about 6 inch, 8 inch over depth. So what we're going to do from now on is we've replumbed out there with the pole, so we've got that spot on, and then we've got the bobber float on the big float rod out to the front here. So we're going to basically float in the open water, float rod in the open water, and then pole in the corner. So I'm going to switch over now and do this. In fact, before that, see that pet hate of mine, bloody Bob's. He's gone off back to the car. This is one of his rods that I'm borrowing because I haven't got that many reasonable float rods. But what I'm going to do is, whilst he's away, and see if he even notices. Because all that happens is the water gets under the plastic and it makes a right mess of it. So, let's get the plastic off. Oh yes, how good does that feel? And let's see if he even notices when he comes back. I'll just say, Perch nearly pulled it out of my hands. And don't be selling him. Where's my scissors? Highlight of the day for me, this. So get it off before he comes back. Goes without saying, obviously, the waste I'm taking off is going to go in my pocket and go home. Don't leave tins and plastic and stuff on the bank. Oh, we're nearly done. We're nearly done. Oh, yes. Look at that. Right, let's get rid of that. Don't want none of these big perch pulling the rod out of my hand, do we? We've got a proper grip on it now. Don't tell Bob's. Let's get a maggot on here and get it out in front and see what we got. If I can ever unwrap the bloody thing. There we go. Right, so as I say, we're going to fish the float in the open water and the pole in the corner. So I'm going to fish this bit now. We just popped in a couple of caps of, we've been using the pole cup to feed the swims. That way we can make sure we're feeding it accurately rather than spreading it all over the place, because we're trying to obviously concentrate the fish. But we're literally just fishing under the rod tip here. So that's the bobber floating. Let's just get the bait going down underneath it. There we go. And let's see what happens. Get some of that slack line off the water. All the shots up by the float, and we've just got one very small shot lower down to take the bait down. Let's just hit bottom there. You can always tell when it gets a full depth because it'll just slightly. There we go, and we're in. So that wasn't a bad start. Again, little perch. Let's just swing it in. Absolutely mint perch. Get my disgorger. As I've said before, it's the only drawback with perch fishing is the greedy. There we go, nice little fish. Let's refresh the bait. The maggots are doing so well, we'll stick with them for the time being. Feeding maggot and chopped worm. Right, let's get it out and under. I've just twanged that and catapulted it around the end. Not doing good here, are we? I think that's one for the outtakes, maybe. There we go. It's Bob's rod, that's what I'll put it down to. And it's not under a pound braid, so I don't know what I'm doing. Put a fresh maggot on. There we go. And swing it out. Let's see. So we're fishing probably 13, 14 foot off the bank here, if that. I mean, it's a 12-foot rod and we're just past the rod tip, so. There we go. There we go. Little roach. Again, let's swing it in. Lovely little roach. Right, we're going to fish this swim a little bit because we're starting to get a bit of action here. I might need to switch over to worm though, because we're having a couple of 3 roach out of here as well. Although we've had perch, we'll keep fishing with the float, the bobber float, and the rod till this one dries up, and then we'll go back over on the pole to the corner and see what happens. Then at some point through the day I'll crack out my converted lower rod, see what we do with that. Again, a little bit of interest here. I'm swinging in some of these fish, but they're only small. Missed that one. Obviously it goes without saying, if you're catching anything of a reasonable size, don't be swinging it in, use the net. I mean, you see them use the net with some of them. It's usually the tiny little roach and things like that that you swing in for no other reason than it's just quicker to get hold of them and sort it that way. But you certainly don't want to be swinging you know, a specimen perch or a big roach about. And again, don't use towels for holding the fish. You see I'm just using my hands. All a towel does is it takes all the protective slime off the fish, and then the fish ends up with infections and all sorts. I might need to change my maggot because I've had a bite on this one and it tends to just suck all the guts out. Oh, just as I said that, we got another one. It's giving up a good fight. It's a little perch, but could do with Hayden's little spoon nets really for these, but I haven't got one. Again, lovely little fish. Let's just refresh that. I think I might try a worm on this one. Just see if we can get anything a little bit bigger. So I'm sort of hooking it through the head end and then just nip off the tail. The reason for that is it just gets the amino acids flowing out of the worm, which is the big attractant. Let's see what this does for us. Might be a bit big for the fish that we're catching, but nope, maybe not. No bigger than the last one, but it's taken a whole worm. So I think I'll fish on with the worms for a little while. Just want to see if we can tempt a few bigger perch into the swim. Oh, it's a slight bit bigger. Again, little one. If we can keep going like this, we should have a good head of perch by the end of the day. Right, we've had a little change of tactics. We've set up a longer pole, and we're going to fish right under the bushes over here, just to see what we can do. We know there's fish here, but we're just going to see if we can find any bigger perch under the far bushes. So I'm going to go in first of all. We've just spodded out a little bit, not spodded out, we've just cupped out a little bit of chopped worm and maggot. I'm just going to put a bit of worm on and ship it out under those bushes and see what we can find. So, there's my worms. Let's hook it up. Nip off the tail. And then out we go. We've already plumbed up, so we know where we're at. Again, could have really done with a roller now we're onto the bigger pole, but we'll do without. Just ship it out straight in the lake and then bring it across. Again, great thing with the pole is you can just be so accurate. There we go, right under the bushes. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, we're getting taps. There we go. And we're out. Nice perch, I think. Yeah, nice little fat perch. Colouring's on these perch is lovely. float out of the net. Something there. Hook's gone through and into the net. Let's just do that. Just basically the hook's gone through the perch's lip and then back into the net. Another nice one. In it goes. Right, I've had a few bites under this tree, but we're not hooking up, so we're just going to smaller bait. We're just putting a single red maggot on, ship it back out, and then let's see what we can get. So a single red on. Get it right in the right spot. There we go. That's where we want to be. And we're in. Not a monster. And we're out. I think the little one's under here. Get them fed up and get the big ones in. You got an up bite then. And we're in. Looks like a perch, I think. Let's get this one in and see what we got. I think it's another perch, which is what we want. Another nice little fish. It went in. Right, let's have another ship out on maggot and see what we can do. Seem to be hooking up better with maggot out there. So just because you've got single red maggot on doesn't mean you can't catch a decent perch. There we go. As I said before, the beauty with the pole is you can just get it in the same spot every time. Oop. And we're in. Again, not a monster. But nonetheless, it's a fish. Swing this one in because it's a tiddler. Oh, and it is a tiddler. Absolutely mint though. There we go. But now that managed to get the maggot in. Let's go for one more out there. See what we can get. And then I'll go back on the rod to the swim in front of me, see what we can do. Right. Again, another single red maggot. Let's see if we can get a bigger one. There we go, spot on. Yeah, and we're in. Right, I think we'll use this as the last one out there. And what I'll do is I'm just going to crack on and see if we can get ourselves a nice net full. Obviously, if we catch anything decent in the meantime, we'll let you know about it, and then we'll catch up with you at the end of the session and see what we got. But I'll crack on now and see what I can pull out the bag or the lake. Yeah. Go. Right, I think this is probably going to be the last fish of the day. See what we got. Another perch, which is what we're after. Not a bad one, but not a monster. It's in the net. Beautiful colours. Oopsie daisy. What I'll do is probably call it on this one. We'll get the net out and show you what we've had. Now we've had it. Let's pop that one in there. And we'll get them out and see what we've done. Right, that brings the day to a head. There's a good number of perch in there. There's a few nice roach as well. I mean, you know, there's some good sized perch, roach. Perch was what we were after. I mean, it's not a bad little net of fish. No monsters in there, but we've had a good day out. Caught a few fish. Kept it very basic, very simple. You've seen it with the basically the setups that we had at the beginning. There's nothing fancy about that, so it's a good way of sort of introducing people to fishing. As I say, we're happy with that. Could have done with a few big ones in there, but that's it. So there we go. Another session over and done with. If you like what you've seen, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on Last Cast.